be vitiated.
Without objection.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. Mr. President, as I said, I rise today, as many of my colleagues have done, to speak in favor of the final passage of the conference report to accompany the FAA Air Transportation Modernization and Safety Improvement Act. I don't know what the acronym is for that, but it's a long name, but it's been a very comprehensive bill, very good bill. And I especially want to thank Senators Hutchison and my good friend from West Virginia, Senator Rockefeller, and their dedicated staff for the countless hours, Mr. President, countless hours they have dedicated over the past 5 years, to produce legislation that will provide the Federal Aviation Administration with the tools necessary, finally, to begin supporting a 21st century national airspace system. It's not often 5 years to finally come up with a bill. Tough sledding, but they've gotten it done. The aviation industry remains one of the most important economic sectors in my home state of Kansas. Passage of this 4-year reauthorization is absolutely critical for giving aviation companies the necessary funding and regulatory certainty to move forward with a number of important initiatives. Not very often in today's world can you talk about regulatory certainty. This bill will do that. Specifically, the FAA Air Transportation Modernization and Safety Improvement Act includes provisions to implement a state-of-the-art satellite-based navigation system to provide operators and users of our national airspace the ability to seamlessly guide and locate traffic throughout our nation and around the world. It also authorizes critical funding for the essential air service programs, which provide Kansas and other rural states the ability to provide air service to smaller communities and the citizens and businesses whose livelihood relies on the ability to travel longer distances in a short amount of time. As a member of the House, as a matter of fact, even prior to that, as a staffer to a member of the House, I was part of the effort that established the first essential air service, so I have a long-time interest in this, and I thank, again, the senators for doing their very best to preserve this program. More importantly, this legislation reflects a bipartisan effort to continued health of the general aviation industry. This industry contributes over $150 billion to the national economy each year, has created over 1.3 million jobs. If anybody wants to hear about job creation, this is the outfit that does it, across a broad range of disciplines, and allows companies the ability to access all facilities all across the globe. And this is where I want to particularly thank Chairman Rockefeller and Senator Hutchison, as well as my colleagues on the Finance Committee, who were tasked with finding the necessary funding streams to pay for the annual $15.9 billion tag that this legislation does authorize. Notably, this legislation does not include language imposing disproportionate and onerous user fees on the general aviation industry. This is contrary to what has happened in the past. This has been a general agreement now, and rather this legislation preserves the current fuel tax levels, an efficient and effective funding mechanism that accurately reflects general aviation's use of the system. If anybody down at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue is listening, I would hope that they would adopt the same attitude as we have been able to reach in a bipartisan way and not pick on any particular industry or use their name or an acronym for their name about 6 times or 7 times in 3 paragraphs of recent speeches. Lastly, this legislation would not undermine steps taken at the Department of Transportation to protect private citizens from having their movements tracked by anyone with easily accessible flight tracking technology. So in closing, I look forward to joining my colleagues later this afternoon in passing this important issue, an important measure, a great comprehensive bill that will support more than 1 million jobs and help spur further economic growth and development in our nation's aviation sectors. Mr. President, I yield the floor, and I recognize the absence of a quorum.